I would like to call the Monday, August 16th, 2021 Orange Board of Education meeting to order at 7:05. Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And would you be kind enough to read the mission statement?
Thank you. The Orange Elementary School District recognizes that the education of each child is the shared responsibility of every member of our community. Our goal is to inspire and empower each student to achieve academic excellence, embrace social and individual responsibility, and lead with integrity. We believe all individuals should be valued and treated with respect. Together, we will make a difference.
Thank you. Public participation, I'm assuming you all here for public participation? Yes? Okay. Public participation does not allow for a two-way conversation between the board and the participants. We thank you for expressing your thoughts and opinions. All comments will be taken into consideration. Comments will be limited to 2 minutes per speaker. Who would like to start? No, would you go to the podium, please? And can you sign in and then state your name and your address, please? I believe there should be a sheet up on the... I think they already signed in. They did? Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Aniko Bezwer. I'm at 63 Hall Drive. And I'm here to request that the board consider adding a fourth teacher at Racebrook School. The school's current plan to have only 3 teachers for this level results in an average class size of 22 for the 4th grade, which is considerably higher than any other grade at the school. According to the numbers of students shared with us by Ms. McNeil, all other levels will have an average class size below 20 students. We know that the town of Orange can find the resources to hire the best faculty available and that our high-quality schools will attract the strongest candidates. Please consider the following reasons why Racebrook School should take the steps necessary to add an additional 4th grade class to reduce the number of children per classroom. Smaller class sizes will allow teachers to better address the educational needs of students at different levels of achievement and the learning spectrum. This is particularly relevant as we start another school year that is likely to be impacted by the pandemic. The smaller class sizes will help teachers better engage students in social emotional learning, which is particularly important as the pandemic drags on and our children negotiate the many uncertainties and stresses that this has brought on. Smaller class sizes will allow greater physical distancing between children who remain unvaccinated against the coronavirus in 4th grade. Smaller class sizes will allow teachers to monitor and address student behavior, especially behavior that is intended to mitigate the spread of the coronavirus infections, such as mask wearing, physical distancing, hand hygiene, and minimizing contact with educational materials and devices used by other children or grown-ups. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next?
My name is Teresa Fita. I'm at 559 Summit Drive in Orange, and I am a 10-year plus Racebrook parent. I have 2 older children who have already gone through the Racebrook schools. I'm a parent of an incoming 4th grader, and as well I'm concerned regarding the class size. It is, when my 2 older children went through Racebrook, they have an average size of 16 to 18, 19 kids per classroom, and I just find that with social distancing, with Corona, and all the changes these kids have gone through, that having an exceptional large class size is going to be too much for them, for the teachers. My daughter has a lot of anxiety issues, and the thought of 22, 23 kids, and then as more families move into Orange, as my neighborhood alone has 4 houses right now for sale, that if a class size ends up having to add an extra teacher mid-school year, this will cause severe anxiety and concern for my child alone, I know that, as well as some of her friends. We moved to Orange specifically because of the class sizes, because of the education, because of the reputation that Orange had, and I just feel like with the way things have been going, a class size of 22, 23 students is going to just be way too much for everyone to handle, and I do request that an additional teacher be brought in so that the class sizes become more comparable to what the others currently in the school have, which is 16 to 18 kids per classroom. Thank you.
Please.
Hi, my name is Liz Ewan. I'm at 403 Pruden Lane, and I wrote to the Board of Ed last spring concerned about class sizes for the third grade at the time, now fourth grade class. I'm at Turkey Hill, so I actually came to thank the board for hearing my request, and we got notified on Friday that a third class section was added to the fourth grade. And I know that you're all here as volunteers, and I wanted to make sure that you heard thanks and gratitude for hearing the concerns of parents, and thank you for your time. And I know that you have the town's best interests in mind, and through that, our students and the schools and also the teachers. So I just wanted to appreciate your time and service to our town.
Thank you very much. Next, anyone else? No one else? Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate you all coming in. I wish more people would come in and express whatever view they may have. The board does appreciate it, so thank you very much. Okay, we will move on to the consent agenda. I will need a motion to accept the items under the consent agenda. The items are the regular session minutes from the June 21st, 2021 Board of Education meeting. Yes, Betty?
I make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Oh. You're pretty quick tonight. Okay. Now you got me confused. Betty made the motion. We have a second from Sue. Any further discussion on the minutes? Is Pat okay? Is she okay? No.
I did it.
Susan already seconded. I'm asking if any further discussion. Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Good, Mary? Presentation. Mr. Matt Allring? There you are, Matt. Thank you.
Thank you to the board, to the administration, and to those watching at home for allowing me to present the technology updates.
Matt, could you speak up just a little bit more? The air conditioning's on. Thank you.
Okay, so I'd like to begin presenting some information regarding the Orange Public Schools District website that our Orange families may find helpful if they have children going through the school system. First, I want to make the families aware that they can find the district website at www.oess.org from any web browser on any computer or mobile device. You'll know that you've reached the correct website when it looks similar to the picture depicted in this slide. And just a fun fact, OESS stands for Orange Elementary School System. Our district website is one of our main tools we use to communicate, so it's important that we make the visit a good experience for all Orange families, including those with hearing or visual impairments. We follow the federal guidelines from the Americans with Disabilities Act, which requires us to have eye-friendly colors, certain styled fonts, and captioning of text and links throughout the website. I'd like to point out that we have a language translation tool that is embedded into the district website. You'll find that it's located at the top right corner of the website. The tool is provided by Google at no charge to the district and offers 108 languages to choose from. What's nice about this tool is once you change the language, it propagates through the rest of the site. A lot of other extensions out there, you have to keep changing the language on each page you visit. We currently have 17 Orange families who speak a different language within the school district, so hopefully this tool will be helpful for them. Because our website is information rich, a lot of content on the website, it could make finding resources difficult for visitors coming to the site. They might have to click 5, 6, 7 times to get to the resource they need. So because of this, we've created a web page for the families, appropriately named Family Resources, which is located at the top of every web page. On the Family Resources page, you'll find shortcuts to commonly visited web pages through the website. Let's take popular forums, for example. Clicking on this shortcut will reduce the amount of clicks to get to a particular resource, such as the online absence form, which is popular with our parents to report their child absence at a particular school, as well as you'll find insurance forms, a volunteer form, and the handbook or the regulations of acceptable use policies. We also have another shortcut called Safe Schools Tip Line. We wanted to provide a way for members of the Orange community to report anonymous and non-anonymous tips in an effort to improve upon school safety. Another shortcut is our 2021-2022 school calendar. We keep the district calendar up to date throughout the school year, and we make it publicly available to the Orange community. Additionally, we've embedded the school calendar directly into the Family Resources page, so all you have to do is scroll down and you can view the school calendar in its entirety. However, you can still click the shortcut and it'll open up in a separate window where it'll only display the calendar if you want to print the calendar. Another notable shortcut is called Powerschoolportal. Some know it as Parent Portal. Every parent or guardian will need to visit this web page in the weeks ahead. The Powerschoolportal allows parents and guardians to communicate important information or make changes that will be communicated to the main office staff at their child or children's school. Vice versa, your child or children's school will communicate information to the parents or guardians with grades, attendance, lunch balances, and much more. This slide shows what Powerschoolportal looks like when signed in. If there is more than one child, you can toggle between them in the top left section of the page. On the left menu, there is a button. This is a new button. It's called Forms. It's new this year. When you click it, you will be presented with forms requiring verification or sign-offs. You'll see forms titled Student Information, Parent Guardian Information, Emergency Contacts, and Student Policy Agreements and Photo. It's important to know that the form Student Policy Agreements and Photo Permissions does come with a due date to verify that you have read the parent handbook and parent or student handbook and internet use agreements with your child or children. This step is available now if any parent or guardian wants to get a jump start on reading them. We've received feedback from Orange families last year that they wanted a way to protect their child's assigned Chromebook. We will continue our partnership with our insurance vendor, SmartTech, to provide protection against costs incurred from damage, loss, or theft. The cost is $38 per Chromebook, and the coverage lasts for the duration of the school year. If any parent or guardian is interested in purchasing insurance, please reach out to the technology department by emailing techsupport@orange.org. cdc-ed.org to receive further information or just to start the process. We take our students' privacy seriously, and so does the state of Connecticut. In the spring of 2016, the Connecticut General Assembly approved the Public Act 16189 that further protects our students' data from online vendors while we use their hosted platforms for teaching and learning. It should be known that we share very limited data in general. However, we are required to share a list of online vendors who have entered into an agreement to abide by the Public Act. We also display a list of those vendors who were requested by teachers to use within the curriculum, but they were not approved because they did not want to abide by the agreement. So parents may find more information about data privacy on the Family Resources page. There's a shortcut called Data Privacy. Now we'd like to highlight some of the software we use within the district. We have software that provides safety to our students, such as GoGuardian. This product protects our staff and students from inappropriate content and advertisements on websites. And it also protects students from YouTube. The sidebar is not displayed, and it also protects from advertisements. We also have a software named Bark. Bark helps to monitor content for specific words or phrases within documents. If an inappropriate word or phrase is detected, it automatically alerts the principal at that child's school, and then the principal can then make the determination if they want to move further with the investigation. And this software is an effort to keep our students safe by staying ahead of cyberbullying and various other matters. Another software we use is called Classlink. It serves as a sophisticated repository for our approved online apps that I was just speaking about a moment ago. You'll notice that the picture to the left in this slide shows a student holding what is called a Quick Card badge in front of her Chromebook's webcam. The Classlink software scans the badge and signs her into the Chromebook, then launches her into the Classlink dashboard in just a matter of a few seconds. The Quick Card badges are used primarily in grades pre-K through 2, but they are available for students in all grade levels. Teachers have only had positive things to say about Classlink. It's really increased the teaching and learning time in the classroom. So now I'll move on to discuss hardware. As we gear up for the start of the new school year, we want to make sure our teachers have useful and efficient technologies within their classrooms. We have learned that technology plays a huge role in helping our teachers educate our students. Technology continues to improve and helps teachers get more efficient with their learning plans. Take this slide, for example. On the left, we have an overhead projector that takes up a lot of room in the classroom. Usually it is a dedicated table just to have it sit there. And tech services used to go out and change the light bulbs. But now on the right, we have what is a document camera, which does the same thing except without transparency paper. And it will scan any object to the front of the classroom, and teachers can also save the work and use it for future lesson plans. Over the summer, Technology Services Department collected all the Chromebooks, checked for damage, and then we cleaned them. We then put them back in the classrooms to be reassigned to students for the duration of the upcoming school year. Additionally, teachers will have technology such as their assigned laptop, document cameras, of course, as well as a projector-based smartboard or a 4K 4K interactive panel. I just want to note that we are currently phasing out the projector-style smartboards, and we are replacing them with all 4K interactive panels. The interactive panels are great because the students can be sitting at their desk with the Chromebook open, and they can cast their work to the panel. And it just makes it more engaging and fun for the teaching and learning in the classroom. Additionally, I just want to add to this slide, we're also adding wireless access points to the classroom. However, we had to stop installing them because the infrastructure wouldn't support it, and I'll get into that in just a moment. So speaking of infrastructure, we were able to upgrade our fiber from a 1 gig speed network to a 10 gig speed network. That's basically 10 times the speed. And now we can go ahead and install those wireless access into every classroom. The additional devices on the network was really just, it made, going from a highway with cars in a 3-lane highway down to a 1 lane. So it really bottlenecked the traffic. So now with the speeds, we're no longer having those kind of issues. Over time, we've made considerable investments into various electronic assets that support teaching and learning. We want to protect those assets from damage by avoiding unsafe shutdowns due to power surges or power outages. We are in the process of installing a massive uninterruptible power supply known as a UPS at Mary L. Tracy School. And this is to help our assets, protect our assets and those assets that are shared between the town and the Board of Ed. Additionally, each school has smaller UPSs, and we are in the process of changing out those batteries. Instead of replacing the entire unit, by just replacing the batteries, we're able to save on costs. Our security cameras received a few improvements. Firstly, they were moved to a newer server configured for more redundancy. Secondly, they are now streaming faster due to the fiber upgrade. And thirdly, we've provided additional storage capacity for playback of footage. We've extended it out from 30 days to 60 days. Just as a reminder to the board, we've purchased 8 out of the 11 copiers we have in the district. The strategy was successful, and it has provided savings during the last school year, so I'm happy to report that. Technology Services' mission is to provide service and support that includes technical training to all users of technology. We'll provide new teachers with one-to-one training to help them ease into a successful school year. For example, we'll train new staff on how to print to the copiers, release their documents, and scan to email. Additionally, we'll train them on how to update their classroom page on the district website and show them how to use the technologies in their classroom. It's important that staff and our students know, as well as their parents or guardians, that they feel supported by tech services. My team within the technology department is available to help answer any questions or concerns as it relates to technology, software, and hardware. We can easily be contacted by sending an email to techsupport@orange-ed.org. A ticket will then be generated automatically. On your behalf, a team of technology specialists will see the ticket and reach out to you as soon as possible. Each technology specialist is cross-trained and also capable of handling any problems that come their way. So to close, I'd just like to take a moment to thank the board, the superintendent, director of curriculum, and the rest of the administration team just for continuously supporting my department. I'd also like to just mention that board member, Mr. Kapp, with his extensive background in information technology, has always made himself available to me whenever I'd reach out to him and would offer advice. He has certainly contributed to the fiber upgrade and the copier cost savings. So thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions for Matt? Charles?
Sorry, not so much a question, but just a compliment to thank you, because particularly last year, you're forward thinking with the acquisition of extra Google Chromebooks and just as a teacher, some of the tools that you overviewed here that made the last year and a half survivable. I deeply appreciate, and you mentioned some of the cost savings with copiers, some of the collaboration with the town for internet speed. I just have a lot of appreciation for a lot of the foresight and effort and thought you've given, and very impressed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Dr. Scarpetti?
Good evening, board members. It may be hard to believe, but 2 weeks from today, we'll be starting school, will be the first day of school. And as our tech department just shared how much effort they put in, it continues to happen to other areas. Specifically, our custodians have been working extremely hard. In a moment, Dr. Russo will share, and part of the report is about the summer camp that occurred. That occurred at Peg Place School, as you all are aware. We had about 300 students there, and so what we did is a little different, and Mr. Gray will explain about how we attack the schools and are ready for the opening of schools. So thanks to our custodians. In addition, I'd like to thank the Continuity of Services Committee that has met over the summer. Very similar to our reopening plan, we've talked about thoughts and things that need to be addressing. It's a different year, but in some ways it's very similar about unknowns that may be happening, and we need to be ready for that. And special thanks go out to Dr. Muhammad. He has made himself available with regards to attending meetings, but also he'll be looking at the schools and making sure that. Sure. Sorry about that, Chris. About attending the schools and actually visiting the schools as he did last year to make sure that it meets the needs with the opening of school. I shared with parents, it's on the website and all of you, but I think it would be best to share it this evening about interim guidance provided by the state. So this was shared a while back ago, and what they did is they broke down what the CDC recommends and currently what the state recommends. This first slide specifically focuses on as 100% in-person learning. So what I shared with our community is that 100% of our students are required. Remote learning will not be an option. The only time remote learning will be an option, and we'll be discussing of how that will look like soon, and be sharing that with their families if a child is quarantined or if a class is quarantined. Vaccinations. As you may have heard, the CDC believes the number one prevention strategy is vaccinations, and the DPH and State Department of Education feels the same. This slide particularly, I believe, related to employees, but also students that are of age to receive the vaccination. So at the meeting, they shared, again, if you want to project out how many shots, when they would have to be taken in order for students and staff to be vaccinated. And they're continuing to impress upon districts that people that are able to be vaccinated, if they're able to, should be. Mask use is another big topic, as you may have heard. There are some people who are proponents of it, some that are not. Parents have emailed both and expressing both sides. Any parent that has reached out to me, I've shared with them there's a current executive order that no matter if you're vaccinated or not, you are required to wear a mask until September 30th. What happens after that? We are actually waiting. As the last line states, updates for fall will be finalized in the coming weeks. So we'll be waiting for the stance what DPH says, and that's the Connecticut DPH and the State Department of Education. Once we receive that information, we'll be sitting with the Director of Health and then expressing what may occur after September 30th. Distancing and cohorting. Currently, they are expressing 3 feet distance in the classroom. All of our students are at least 3 feet or more in our classrooms right now. That being said, they always say when feasible. The intent for here is that they are focusing on in-person learning, and if any time it's below 3 feet, they do not want to exclude any child from in-person learning. They also are requiring, it's not required, but are recommending cohorting. So cohorting, as you may recall, is when we kept students in their own classrooms. This time around, and when you think about it, they actually cohort throughout the day. So if all of us are in our class together, we cohort and go into the same special together. We are going to continually to do that, but during physical education or during recess, students will be outside and do not have to wear a mask outside. This is something new. I'm sharing this with you so you're aware of it. At this time, the Director of Health does not believe that we need to pursue this. This is offering screening testing. Again, it would be voluntary. So if we were to pursue this, what it would look like is parents would volunteer their students to be tested. Why would the state recommend this? I believe the input that they believe is if we were to do this, and say if we were all a class, and say all of your parents volunteered you to do this, if you were asymptomatic but had COVID positive, we were able to prevent maybe that spread of the disease. Currently, we are not looking to do that. We're going to leave that as an option in the future. As far as I know, the rate of people that are vaccinated in Orange are 70% or higher, and I believe that plays into the decision that was made currently with screening and testing. I don't want to take Mr. Gray's spotlight here, but he'll be talking about the ventilation and cleaning and disinfection with this. Let me skip to isolation, quarantine, and contacts. Again, stressing 3 feet away, and I like to read under the DPH state recommendation. It states, students seated 3 feet or more from another student diagnosed with COVID-19 do not need to quarantine as long as they remain asymptomatic and masks were in use in the classroom. So I just want to read it just to have that process. Students seated 3 feet or more from another student diagnosed with COVID-19 do not need to quarantine as long as they remain asymptomatic. What does that mean? So we've actually measured, you are 3 feet apart. So say, for example, if Mr. Kraut was a student who contracted the virus and all of you are wearing masks, you do not have to quarantine. Only Mr. Kraut would have to quarantine. We've received questions with regards to this already. So does that mean classes won't be quarantined? That's not the case. We have to take each case and situation. For example, as I shared earlier, when it's gym time, all of us are 6th graders, we're all outside, we have our masks off. If someone contracts a virus, we have to contact trace, and we would have to find out what students were close to with that proximity of that student. But wearing masks and having asymptomatic symptoms around students inside the building, only that student would have to quarantine. This slide particularly impacts the high school, but just to share with you, it talks about sports and other extracurricular activities. Again, not pertaining to much per se, but it was part of the webinar that we were involved in. Again, it's if you want to look at it, it's on the website. I won't go into details with this now. Other considerations, again, Mr. Gray will talk about school, bus, or orientation, but masks are required on the bus. Again, we will be assigning students, so in case there is a positive case of COVID-19, we'll be able to contact trace students in their location. Visitor policies, this is new. I know people are anxiously wanting to get things back to the way they used to, but we have to do that slowly. And what we're looking at and talking with the Director of Health is what will that look like? More information will follow about people visiting the school. It'll be much different of outside activities versus inside activities. One of the things that they are strongly recommending is the vaccination status of people if they are entering the school. Recess and physical education, no change. Masks not needed outdoors, as I shared earlier. Art instruction and performance. Last year, students stayed in the classroom. Specialists walked into that classroom. Students this year will be going into to the specialist classroom. Less concerns as we find more about the virus, but when you think about it, those students are still cohorted going into another classroom. The only specific area that we need to focus on is band and music. Aerosols are more exposed, so we have to make sure that students are 6 feet or distance and more in band or in music when they are singing. And Mr. Gray will talk about the cafeteria in a moment. And that concludes my report, Mr. Crow.
Betty, any questions for Dr. Scarpetti? Betty?
Thank you, Dr. Scarpetti. I just have one question regarding the buses. Are you still encouraging parents to drive their children to school, or are you expecting that most students will be taking the bus?
We don't know. I believe principals will be inquiring. We're not requesting that this year. That was definitely a focus last year. But this year, it's not our focus. If parents want to elect to have their children drive the bus, we welcome that. I believe principals will be sending that out just so they could arrange for the dismissal and not dismissal and opening procedures when the kids enter the building.
Scarpetti, you mentioned that the students will be going to their special classes. Will there be any additional cleaning in between different classes coming in?
Mr. Gray will talk about the cleaning and what we've been doing and what we've learned about the virus regarding cleaning.
Thank you.
Dr. Scarpetti? Go ahead, Charles.
No, thank you for this report and kind of reviewing the guidances. You and the team were preparing for this year and reviewing this guidance. And I know we've received some correspondence and some comments here tonight about concerns. You feel at the present time, based on your team's preparations for this guidance, that we're ready to operate with the same class sizes?
We are, and again, taking the information, I will reach out to Dr. Muhammad and just convey the concerns that were expressed today. He did see the report of the class sizes, but hearing what parents have shared, I will be more than happy to reach out to the Director of Health, and especially when he actually visits the classrooms, and not just the classes that were mentioned this evening, but all classes.
Go ahead, Ken. You all set, Charles? Thank you. Go ahead,
I
Ken.
appreciate you're just the messenger on this, but if a child is positive in the classroom,
Yes, sir.
the other children aren't necessarily affected, we assume. But if they've had gym, then we have to do contact tracing to find out which of the children are involved?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that would involve testing them, right?
Well, not testing them, but if a child is not wearing a mask and is interacting with a child who is COVID positive, and it's longer than 15 minutes in time, we would have to address that and how that ripple affects.
Okay. Is gym then going to be divided up into smaller cohorts?
Currently, after speaking with the Director of Health, he is saying that grade levels can go out together without masks.
Okay, but I meant that if we determine that the children who are close to this child, we have to do the contact tracing on, how do we determine that if they're at gym?
The process that the principals will go over with the teachers is to really keep cognizant of what is going on. So it may be even in a closer proximity. I use P because that's a lower hanging fruit, easy to explain that. It may
Yeah.
not just be the student next, but maybe various of students. It could be on the bus. It could be when we do a smaller activity with students that may be less than 3 feet, depending how long. So We do have to keep an eye on it. It will be, I think, a little bit more challenging if it were to occur during PE. Again, not only is the Director of Health, but also Kathleen Malone, the Supervisor of Nursing, has been involved in these meetings, and that's probably going to be the toughest piece of it if it does happen during PE.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Can I just add to
Go
that?
ahead, Ken.
Just to clarify, if we're talking about PE or recess, right? Recess we do in multiple groups and
I
PE
apologize,
we-
yeah, I've been using them
we
conversely.
do it in our
So
cohort.
PE is at a specific grade, recess would be multiple grades, or no, I'm sorry, the same grade level, but multiple classes.
But PE is within your cohort.
Yes, sir.
So Ken, I think you're a little different flavor to your question, right? If someone is positive and they're in gym with someone, it's within their cohort, and then it's to the contact tracing.
It will always be the contact training because, again, what this states is if a student is 3 feet or more distance wearing a mask and someone is COVID positive, only that student needs to go out if the other students within 3 feet are asymptomatic. No matter if it's PE or recess, students are not wearing masks. So that's where the PE teacher really needs to pay attention of what is occurring. And it does get more complicated, I would assume, during a recess time when there's 3 fifth grade classes out or 3 sixth grade classes out and the interaction.
Thank you.
Just to further either compound or clarify, how does the 15-minute period play into that? Is it 15 minutes with masks, but without masks, it doesn't matter? Or is it 15 minutes without masks? I mean, how does the 15-minute period apply?
My understanding, Mr. Young, is it's 15 minutes without masks.
Kids together without masks, one becomes possibly positive. If any of their children were in close contact or proximity with them, so long it was less than 15 minutes, there wouldn't be a presumptive need to quarantine.
Correct. And the only reason why I'm assuming that, Mr. Young, is because, again, if we're sitting next together as students, we're going to be longer than 15 minutes, but that mask will be on for the entire day. So I think the big piece is when the masks are off and you're interacting with students that are longer than 15 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Mr. Gray?
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to present on facilities first, Mr. Crow, if that's okay, and then move to finance and operations after.
Fine, Mike.
Okay. So by the end of this week, our schools will be completed and ready to welcome back staff and students to the new school year. I want to thank our custodial staff for all of their time and efforts this summer. As Dr. Scarpetti alluded to, summer school happened at Peck Place School, so we did a process similar to last year, which was in the past, custodians would stay at their home school. So each school had 2 custodians and they would work through the building. And it would literally take all summer for them to do that. Last year, we started a process of let's put all the custodians together, many hands make light work, and go to one school and then move to the next school. So we did that again this year. And it really paid off this year because Peck Place School was not available to be cleaned until after August 6th? 5th. August 6th was the first day we could get in there. And I'm happy to say when I was there today, I was able to tell the custodians from the other buildings, you can go back to your schools and finish some of the odds and ends you have because Peck Place was in such a good place. And that's after about 9 days of cleaning. So I really want to send congratulations to our custodians and a thanks to them for all of their hard work. This school year. The buildings, as you had asked prior, are definitely ready for the opening of school. The filters, along those same lines, the filters in all the building unit ventilators, air handlers, and rooftop units are in the process of being changed for the start of the school year. If you recall, last year, we began a process of changing the filters and cleaning out the univents and the coils every 3 months, as opposed to every heating and cooling season, which equated to about 2 times a year. So now we're doing this every 3 months throughout the year. We have filters in stock because they're hard to get. So we have ours already in stock, and we're beginning that process right now to start the school year. As Dr. Scarpetti also mentioned here with the mask use, so with the executive order, masks will be in schools until September 30th. But what I wanted to pinpoint was on the buses. They will be required on the buses. I have and this is later in my report, but there's an annual bus meeting for the BOA school systems at Amity High School next Tuesday. And this is with all of the bus contractors in the BOA districts. And we will be discussing the processes for the buses, which will be very similar to last year, which is loading the buses back to front, unloading buses front to back, spacing out the children as much as we can, having windows open, because windows open just a tiny bit on the bus increase the airflow and the circulation in the buses. We'll also be talking to the bus drivers about making sure they have their masks on and the students are wearing their masks properly as well. And just like last year, we supply them with masks in case a student forgets at the bus stop and tries to get on the bus and says, "Oh, I forgot my mask." We have one for you. Come on. You may have noticed coming into Mary L. Tracy tonight, there's a bit of construction happening at the front of the building. That's part of the repair work being done here at Mary L. Tracy and at Racebrook School. Here at Mary L. Tracy, they are repairing the brick facade on the front wall and several areas of the sidewalk, as well as a stairway on the opposite side of the gymnasium out towards the softball field. And at Racebrook School, they will be repairing the steps leading up to the loading dock and the sidewalk at the bottom of those steps to make that staircase a little bit safer because it's deteriorated over the years. That work will be done probably by the end of this week at both schools. New equipment has been installed, and the final stages of poured-in-place rubber surface installation are being completed this week on both the upper and lower playgrounds at Turkey Hill School. This project was initiated to make this playground safer and more inclusive for our students. You may recall, board members, that last year we increased the accessibility at both Mary L. Tracy and Racebrook School playgrounds with the installation of new equipment and poured-in-place rubber surfaces there. The plan is to complete the Peck Place School playground next summer, and we've already begun some prep work there, removing some of the overhanging trees behind the playground to increase the airflow, get more sunlight in there, and decrease the amount of vegetation that is falling into a drainage culvert. And we'll also be cleaning out that culvert to increase the drainage. So hopefully that helps with our playground before we install the poured-in-place rubber and the new equipment there next year. As far as distancing and cohorting, I can speak to the distancing. I've been going through the buildings with the custodians. We've been measuring out our desks. As Dr. Scarpetti said, the minimum is 3 feet where feasible. We're doing 3 feet or more instead of doing 3 feet or less. It's 3 feet or more in our classrooms, and we're able to achieve that in every classroom in the district right now. Ventilation, as I mentioned, we're changing all the filters. I did have vendors in this summer working on some of our equipment to make sure that it's operating properly. Some of the equipment is aging a little bit, so it needs a little bit of maintenance from time to time. We did have people in looking at some of the units that weren't up to snuff, and now they are working efficiently. So I'm happy to say our building equipment is working well right now. Cleaning and disinfecting. I want to spend a minute or two on this slide. So the CDC Summary Messages, contaminated surfaces are not a significant risk for transmission of SARS-CoV-2. So I just want to spend a minute here because in the last year and I believe it's 5 months or so, we've learned a lot more about this virus. And one of the things we've learned, myself included, spending a lot of time in webinars, especially with the Connecticut Department of Public Health, that the surfaces and fomites are not generally how the virus is spread. It's more through the aerosols when we're speaking, we're sneezing, or coughing. That's really how the virus is spread. So the guidance lately has been routine daily cleaning is all that is needed in most areas of the school buildings. Limit disinfection to bathrooms, health offices, isolation space, known exposures. So what that means is really you should be disinfecting your restrooms, which we do every single day anyway. That's just good cleaning and hygiene practices. Our health offices, again, which we do anyway. And then your exposure areas, your high touch areas, your high traffic areas, your office counters, your doorknobs, your copiers, any shared keyboards in the building. And really, there aren't too many anymore because thanks to Matt's work and the support of the board, we're a one-to-one district now. So students are really using their own keyboards most of the time. So we will continue the cleaning that we've done in the past. I'm very proud, again, of our custodial staff and the work they did last year and keeping our buildings clean and healthy for everyone. It's a testament to them that our district was able to stay open a full year with all of our children present. I will say, when you look at the first clean detergent-based, using detergent-based, all of the chemicals that we use are Green Seal certified, meaning they are non-toxic and they are safe for children in our buildings. So I'm happy to say those are the types of products we use in our classrooms. We will be cleaning and disinfecting restrooms and continuous spot disinfection. I believe there was... The one thing I wanted to mention, when Dr. Scarpetti was mentioning PE classes and recess, we've been having meetings with the administrators in the buildings, the principals. When Dr. Scarpetti mentioned that a grade level would be outside, that might mean 3 or 4 classes at a time, but that doesn't mean they're intermingling. We've had discussions about if I'm a first grade teacher and I have 2 other first grade classes out there, one might be on the playscape, one might be on the basketball court, and another might be out in the field. So they're still in their cohorts, which A, keeps them cohorted, and B, makes it a lot easier when it comes to contact tracing if that has to happen. So I just wanted to bring that up as well. And that concludes facilities.
Questions for Mr. Gray on facilities? Charles?
Just wanted to thank Mr. Gray for comprehensive preparation and attention to detail. And, we all wear multiple hats at the same time. And so both as a board member, seeing what you've done yet again to get us ready for school, but also as a dad, sending my girls through the schools, I have great confidence in the measures and the attention to detail and the proactive measures, and I deeply appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mr. Gray. You may move on.
Okay. So under finance and operations, I'm happy to say that we've actually begun our audit process early this year. And Seward and Mon CPAs were on site at central office for several days in July. They were reviewing district processes and procedures. Central office is currently working on the annual state reporting package, which is also known as the EFS Educational Financial System reporting for the 2020-2021 school year to wrap that school year up, that financial year. I am happy to say that this past April, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, released a national waiver to allow the seamless summer option, even though we're not in summer session. What that means is all students receive free lunch. They have extended that through the 21-22 school year. So again, this year, all students, any students who want to take advantage of hot lunches in our schools can do so at no cost to parents. And we did apply for that waiver. We received that waiver just last week. So we are part of the program now. So any parents wishing to take part, please do so. Again, it helps our cafeterias when people take part in the lunch program. And this year, if a student doesn't like a particular lunch on a day, there are going to be some more exciting alternatives rather than a simple peanut butter and jelly sandwich or a cheese sandwich. They're going to institute a hot dog alternative or a hamburger alternative So we're trying to increase participation a little bit with more of the foods that children will actually eat. So hopefully more people will take advantage of those lunches. They are good, they are delicious, and it does help our cafeteria as well. And finally, again, I'll just mention under transportation, the annual BOA bus driver meeting is being held next Tuesday, August 24th at Amity High School cafeteria. And what we do at this meeting is we review with all of the drivers the bus driver handbook. We go over the trainings that they need to take. And we also go over the procedures and policies, again, how we're going to be loading and unloading our buses, the wearing of masks, making sure that we're ventilating the buses, and how they clean the buses in between. So if they're a bus that has middle school in the morning and then elementary, making sure they clean the buses in between those routes, and then vice versa in the afternoon. And that concludes that report.
Can refresh my memory, did we serve hot lunches last year, or was it
We did, halfway through the year. or
halfway
so.
through the year?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to start out
And-
serving them from the start.
We are, and we're actually going to be trying to use our cafeteria too. We're still working out the logistics on this. So what we're kind of thinking right now, because of distancing, we can't fit a full lunch wave in. So parents, you might know that if I'm a parent of a second grader, I know second graders usually eat with first graders. So first and second are in the cafeteria at the same time. You can't fit all those children with the distancing that we have to do. So what we're thinking of doing is one grade level, first grade, might eat in the cafeteria the first week, and second grade is in their classrooms. Those hot lunches get packaged and delivered to the classrooms for the students who choose the hot lunch. The following week, second grade is in the cafeteria and first grade is in the classrooms. And we'll do that for all grades, kindergarten through sixth grade, and alternate back and forth. We're still working out the logistics, but we really do want the children to have that experience of eating in the cafeteria with their friends, albeit distanced. They're still eating with their friends, they're getting that cafeteria experience, and hopefully some of those friends might see another friend eating one of those cool hot lunches and say, Mom, Dad, I want to get one of those hot lunches. So we are thinking of using our cafeterias, and in between, even in a non-COVID era, we always wash down the tables in between lunch shifts.
One other question, Mr. Gray.
Sure.
Have you started to put together the bus routes yet?
So it's funny you asked that. I was on the phone this morning with Mr. Tirolo Jr., and we're nearing having those finalized, and they should be all set this Thursday when letters go out to families.
That's all I have. Anyone else? Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Coming in and out, is that going to be the same as last year? Like the dismissal and drop off with individual classes?
We're actually still discussing that, but the thought is that they may do that. But I don't want to say either way because I don't know if it's definite.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Dr. Russo?
Good evening, everyone. Before I share our back-to-school preparation updates, I would like to thank all of the families and the 300 students who did attend summer learning for their patience, especially the first few days with arrival, transitions, and dismissal. The children were absolutely amazing, and we were so grateful for their patience. So, back-to-school preparations. What do they look like? I'll start with the tutorials. So all staff received information regarding videotape tutorials and trainings related to professional responsibilities that we all need to view. Things like the Connecticut State Department of Education and the Department of Children and Families mandated reporter training, sexual harassment training, anti-bullying, all those types of trainings. They add up to about 4.5 hours, so we've spaced them for staff. We've chunked them over a span of 4 time periods so that they can, and we shared all that information so staff can plan accordingly. During the summer, our leadership team met often. our final leadership meeting before school opens will be August 19th. Then on the 23rd, we have planned a new staff orientation for our new teachers, our interns, our student teachers, and our district permanent substitute teachers. On the 24th, we will have a voluntary professional development opportunity sponsored by the Special Education Department, and the topics are cultivating student independence, cultivating self-regulation, and then understanding adverse childhood experiences. And you may hear that acronym ACEs, now another acronym for a different meaning, the Area Cooperative Educational Services. Then on 8/26, we're scheduled for Welcome Back. This year, it will be school-based. It'll start with a faculty meeting in the morning. Principals will provide lots of important information and review the structure for providing feedback via our Professional Development Evaluation Committee, or PDEC. We'll make sure that teachers know who is on that committee, when members will meet, what topics will be discussed, because we really want to make sure that teachers reach out to the school and grade level representatives prior to meeting dates so that PDEC members can represent constituents when mapping professional learning sessions onto our professional learning calendar, when we have our discussions about evaluation waivers, the progress and plans for social emotional learning, our special education initiatives, curricular topics, and so on. And then on 8/27 is our professional planning day. We will focus on transition meetings sprinkled with opportunities to learn more about some new digital math resources. And then September 9th will be the first PDEC meeting. So that's my report, Mr. Kraut.
And any questions for Dr. Russo? Betty?
Thank you, Dr. Russo. You said that the 24th is voluntary. Does that mean that teachers can opt to not do it, or what does that mean?
Yeah, so that's not one of the, I don't want to say like mandated, but district planned.
One of the contractual days?
Yeah, it's not one of the contractual days. It's an extra, it's another opportunity. We
Okay,
do
and-
have 60 participants.
Okay. And the 25th of August is still not the beginning of school, is that it? I know you mentioned the 24th, the 26th, the 27th, so the 25th is not a school day for staff.
Let me check my calendar.
Yeah.
So the 25th is a teacher day. So teachers are in school.
And they're in their classrooms.
They're in their
It's a classroom
classrooms.
day. Okay.
Correct,
Yeah.
preparing for
Right. Okay.
the students.
Yeah, there's no specific professional development. It's that's the prep day for the classroom. Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Charles?
No, thank you for those preparations and sharing them. Could you just highlight a little bit about kind of continuing our social emotional learning this year?
Sure. So on the 19th, our leadership team, we will be meeting with someone from the Yale Center for Emotional Health, and we will review some of the experiences that we want to share with staff on that first day, hold on a second, let me get the right date. On the 26th, the Welcome Back. So the whole afternoon is going to be dedicated to, let me just check my notes here, to a refresher on RULER, which stands for, RULER, recognizing, understanding, labeling, expressing, and regulating emotions. A refresher, a development of a new school charter with the paras, with the aides, the whole community for culture and climate, and then time to review planning, time to review some of the lessons, the resources on that Yale online platform, preparing lessons. And then with the PDEC committee, based on what teachers share, the Wednesday long meetings or those, the longer meetings, so that we can continue where we left off before all of this started.
Thank you, because just speaking from our family's experience, how important that was last year. And there's nothing like asking your 8-year-old how her day was, and she explained to me her ruler
Oh, the mood
measurement.
meter,
And,
with the mood meter.
it's a crazy time to be an 8-year-old, and I think that's a really important piece of this upcoming year. So I'm very encouraged and thankful that that's continuing. So thank you.
We agree, thank you.
Anyone else for Dr. Russo? Thank you, Doctor.
My pleasure.
All right, we will move on to board business. Board business, item number 1, discussion on pending litigation. The board will convene into executive session to discuss pending litigation in the matter of civil action case number CV-21-6044091-S. Standing committees. First up is Finance. Ms. Riggio.
Hi, Finance met directly prior to this meeting. We are already, of course, looking at 21-22 budget and closing out 2021. There is a slight modification to one of the reports that's coming out so that we can see where we still have encumbrances from last year. Maybe it's outstanding invoices or something of that nature, maintaining the appropriate buckets that we're normally in. So nothing is being changed. We're just seeing what some of the things are. Just a heads up on that. Everything has been in order. That's about it.
Any questions for Ms. Riggio? Very well. Personnel and Transportation, Kim is not here. Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you know, traditionally, Buildings and Grounds meets the week prior to our general board meeting. This month, in lieu of a formal meeting, we are continuing our second annual opening of school buildings tour. So we are scheduled to do that on August 23rd, I believe, at 11 a.m. And then on September 13th, as you know, Buildings and Grounds rotates our meetings through the different schools. September 13th, we'll be meeting at Racebrook School, and probably on the agenda there, as we discussed in June. Mr. Gray has done quite a bit of work preparing a comprehensive plan for our buildings, grounds, and security moving forward, and we may be entertaining adopting that as our buildings and grounds long-range plan. So that's tentative as part of our agenda in September. And then October 12th, our tour continues at Peck Place School for our buildings and grounds meeting at that time. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Flynn? Very well. Curriculum, Mr. Ziman.
Attempt to move back to health. I think we're planning on having a meeting on the 30th. Is that right? The day that school opens? Yes. Okay. That's all I've got.
ACES, Ms. Riggio.
Sorry, I'm stuck. Give me a second. ACES had actually 2 meetings this summer. We had a June 25th meeting to talk about the submission of a grant application for the ACES at Chase, as well as the submission of a grant application for the gymnasium at 88 Bassett Road, which is where Wintergreen is. Both of those were approved in special meeting, and so we submitted our grants, which we're happy to say that they're going forward, which is great. We also had a meeting last Thursday. We typically do not have regular scheduled meetings over the summer for ACES, but we did. And during that meeting, we also have announced that there's the ribbon cutting for the ACES at Chase, at the Chase Collegiate property. It will be our first year there. They're the former Thomas Edison students. We're shifting over there. Many of those students, about 80% of the students that were at Thomas Edison are going to be attending at Chase. There's about 800 students that will be within 3 grades, which is great. We're very happy about that. And there will be a ribbon cutting on, I believe it's August 25th, They're also talking about a naming of the Wintergreen School, because it's no longer on Wintergreen Avenue. So they're looking to change that name as well, but nothing is, they're just having discussions on it. There's not even any, there's a way you could submit a suggestion, but nothing yet. But ACES schools are ready to open as well. Lots of cleaning, lots of, distancing, discussions with buses like we've all talked about. But they have also received significant grant funding from the ESSER, ESSER 2, CFR, all that stuff. And so we've been going through that, and as the finance chair, we go into that in depth. Their numbers, because they're technically bigger, much bigger than Orange is from a district perspective, because they cover, quite a bit of New Haven County, their numbers are a lot bigger as well. So they are offering certain professional development learning that, Dr. Russo, if you don't have that information, I'm happy to provide it to you. But there is some interesting things happening. There was one more thing. That was it. That was all.
Any questions for Ms. Riccio? Very well. So I'm going to be looking for a motion to enter into executive session. Dr. Scarpetti, would you care to join us in executive session? Yes, sir. So I'm looking for a motion to enter into executive session with Dr. Scarpetti joining us. Do I have a motion? Charles, do I have a second? Betty? All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Very well, we are in executive session. Thank you very much for showing up this evening.